Welcome back. I'm Dan,
I'm Ryan.
and this is Bourbon Sauced.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Also known as a Lady in the Bourbon on Instagram.
I think it's huckberry.
No, so it actually, like, the real thing is,
Our little niche is that we just like to drink bourbon and bullshit, you know? That's why the big BS in our logo is we just like
There
to
it
bullshit.
is. Bourbon and bullshit.
So this week, we're going to talk about a few different things that how things have been going, where we, what we've experienced on this whole podcasting journey and whatnot. So Ryan, what do you think so far of our progress from last year to this year?
from where we started till now, leaps and bounds from where we started. Especially figuring we went from audio only with headsets and just sitting in separate rooms to full-blown studio setup. Leaps and bounds as far as technology goes, beyond where I thought we would be at this point. But I mean that's all a testament to you and your ability to find what's needed and research and know what systems we need and what kind of mics work. So that's all you on the technical house, because I've got no clue. We've already seen some of the stuff I've bought. I got a gimbal that the warranty expired, and they wanted to charge you the same price for the gimbal to get an extended warranty.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a process, like, for sure. Before we get into more of this discussion, though, we've got to figure out what we're drinking. I know you've got everything behind you because you're at the homestead. I'm on the road, so I'm disadvantaged, and I'm not only disadvantaged in the fact that I'm on the road, I'm in a town where there is nothing. It is Barstow, California, for those people that know about it, that are out there for NTC at Irwin. You know the struggle. You know what I'm talking about. So there's not a lot here. I got stuck with these traveler bottles. So, talk about where we've come from and where we've gone to. Going back to like high school, college days, where you can't find.
You're like Hobo Joe. You're Hobo Joe sitting on a park bench.
With the plastic screw top, no less. Boo.
Maybe just to add to the flair there, you should just brown bag it and drink from the bottle.
This is too small to drink from a bag. But
No. You get one of them little bitty, like 5 cent, one of them 5 cent brown paper bags. You know, the little ones that they'll put like a bunch of candy in.
Or like the ones you do use for like your lunches when your mom used to brown bag you as a kid.
Yeah.
Those ones. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be funny. That would be funny. Not that it would be uncommon, where I'm at.
Right.
There's a lot of homeless people wandering around. Not to say that they're bad people. It's just, disadvantaged. So, I do appreciate that you pointed that out for what I've done to the channel. But conversely, you're more network savvy than I am when it comes to like interfacing with different people in the community, reaching out to them, getting them to talk. Like, you're more the gift of gab part of the podcast, which everyone kind of knows you for. I'm more of like the business sense, technology side. but that's what makes us kind of blend better. What's that? The bourbon? Oh, the BS? You're BSer. Yeah. Yeah, you are the BS.
Yeah, I
in the
was
BS.
not rubbing my nipple. I was just.
I wasn't sure. I thought maybe you were getting excited over there. Well, cheers, by the way.
Cheers. I will say, obviously, like it has been a fun run. Like we completed one whole season last year,
Yep.
right before actually the final episode aired after you went away for work for a few months.
Yep.
And now we're back at it, and hopefully be wrapping up this season in the next few episodes. And that'll be another successful season down. I would say we've definitely had our ups and our downs throughout this. I would also say for anybody who's interested in something like this, you are definitely, if you don't know the person that you're working with, you're going to get to know them a whole lot better. Especially when you're constantly recording, and if you're doing like us and you're consuming alcohol while doing it. It can be very interesting and I would say very rewarding at the same time.
It's had its challenges for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's tested our friendship a few times.
Mm-hmm.
As creative differences collide every once in a while. That's kind of one of those things when you're doing anything in business or otherwise, and this is a semblance of a business now. It's grown from just kind of screwing off as, doing whatever to, starting Patreon and the TikTok with, all the people that want to follow there and affiliate links and all these other companies that have kind of wanted to kind of come on board. Like Whiskey Grail has been great. Trying to get Agent Or on board, working with local distilleries. And hopefully, in maybe by year 5, when this thing has grown to be a monster, we'll have real other companies like, I don't know, Maker's Mark or Wild Turkey, and they're like asking us to do reviews for their stuff as they have limited releases.
Right. I mean, we've gone March 2023 till now. We've hit almost 20,000 on YouTube. We're at almost 15,000 on TikTok. We're steadily growing on Instagram. Facebook, it's hit or miss. But it's like we've had I won't say steady, because it's literally random. Like all of a sudden one day the right thing hits and somebody turned the dam on and you've got a flood of new followers and views. And then over the course of the next month, you're as dry as the Mojave Desert. Yeah,
it's interesting. There's a lot of ebbs and flows, or roller coaster rides through this, and those low points, you get a little disappointed and deterred, and especially for me, because I'm very much a reward systems type person. Yeah. So like I want to see some reward for our efforts, because there's a lot of work that goes into these things. You know what I mean? Like you're doing social media, I'm doing social media. We have full-time jobs. And after doing those full-time jobs, we try to come together and put together these episodes, whether it's a Wet Your Whistle Wednesday or a podcast, or even just meeting with people as a primer to get it set up for the next thing. There's a lot of work that goes into podcasting that I had no idea going into this it was going to, be an undertaking.
I blame this all on Drunk Dan. All on Drunk Dan. I'm just saying. And now, like, on top of that, once you've built that rapport, now you can't just, oh, hi, how are you doing? It's like, oh, by the way, we're having this function or this thing. And it's like, okay, one of us will be there. So you have to continue working that rapport. And it's a lot. And obviously, I would say when it's not really, what would it be? I guess financially, like it's not providing financially, it's a lot on you to be like, okay, I got to make time to go here. I got to make time to do this. we need this or that, and edit this, and call this person, and go see this person, and we got to schedule to record this, and it's a lot.
It's kind of like I equate it to it like a process of selection, right?
Yeah.
It's a test. It's a test to see how much you can endure before you start getting some rewards.
Right.
And there's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of like unknowns, and there's all these little hurdles that you face. And we've had episodes where we've lost video, we've lost audio. It sounds like trash, and we're just like, shit, we gotta scrap that and start over, and asking to go back and redoing. And some of these places are been great about accommodating that, knowing that we're a small podcast so far, and we're really just trying to figure out a lot of things. But
Yeah,
holy
like
shit, does that frustrate you? And you're like, God, I just want to scrap it.
Well, I mean, to think we went in we're almost 2 seasons down, and in 2 seasons we've gone from headphones, from microphone with a headset combo, to the Yeti microphones.
Yep.
And then it went up from those to the new microphones with the stands and the Sony headsets. I mean, and those have seemed to work really good. But then the fun part with those was also, you had the long arm stands, and you're like, trying to figure out how to do this. And then next thing you know, you finally, and I think we had looked for several months, you finally come across the stands that actually would take the collapsible arms.
Right. Yeah. That works great for at home.
Yeah.
The road game is a totally different beast, and that's been a process too, because we try to use those wireless microphones, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. I think if somebody were to come out with, like, if DJI or Rode, for instance, came out with a 4-pack of microphones that worked with one receiver, that'd be amazing.
Because right now you can't, like we tried, what was it, Southern Collectives, setting one here in front of them, one here. And what I've noticed with those mics, if it's not clipped here, like in close.
Yeah, it's not as good quality as you would hope. And so, we learned that doesn't work. So we went back to lugging everything around, with the Rodecaster and the pod mics and the stands and the lights. I still would like to upgrade our cameras just to the next level. For right now, we're at, like, just above camera phone level, barely, like probably 2005 camera phone level.
I was going to say, some of these camera phones now blow almost anything out there away. Like, you have people who do nothing but make content on just a phone.
So, like, your Samsung phone has an amazing camera on it. The 15 Pro that I picked up finally has an amazing camera on it. But it's like, that doesn't seem to me like the viable way to record a podcast on.
No.
Because you have a memory limitation, you have sound limitations, there's all kinds of other limitations when you're just using a cell phone.
Well, and then Riverside likes to export my phone camera in a weird format.
Yeah, I don't know if they're just if it's just because of it being a Samsung, and I don't know. It's just very weird how it does that. And it wouldn't matter had I known back when we first started to, have Adobe Premiere, and then export all, and then I can crop it and do whatever in Adobe Premiere. But even then, if it orients you in a 9:16 versus, the other way, there's not much I could do for that to stretch it so it doesn't look all distorted. So there's been a lot of growing and learning about this podcast adventure for sure.
Oh, 100%.
The cost of bourbon, I think, has been the most that I had no idea was going to be going into this.
The cost of bourbon has. I mean, I'm not even in the ballpark with you on that. Like, I mean, I've picked up a lot of stuff, but I am when it comes to bourbon on a budget, I will find you some bourbon on a budget.
Yeah, for sure. The lighting thing is another thing that was expensive that I had no idea lighting was so expensive.
I honestly was like, never even thought or contemplated us ever needing lighting until you got the light sets, and then we recorded the first one up in the new studio, and then I was like, holy shit, what a difference this actually makes. But at the same time, it's like, had you gone back and had we not done that,
they would never know.
Right. And it's like, would never noticed it, so no big deal. But now it's like, nope. Now that you've seen it, it's like you can't go back.
Yeah, like even now, with us being disjointed, you can tell where you're at right now because we don't have the lights that point on that section of the studio.
Right.
So it's a different glow even back there. Continuing to find new topics to talk about has also been a process. And we try to make it as much of a joint effort as we possibly can as far as like figuring out what to talk about. But every once in a while, one of us gets like writer's block or brain fog or, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so then it's like, we'll start just bouncing ideas like, well, what do you think about this? Well, what do you think about that? Trying to find fresh new content to talk about is difficult because everyone wants to be entertained and everyone's got a different thing that they are entertained by.
Right.
And so that has been, interesting to figure out. And then I think TikTok and Instagram lives have been great for that, for feedback from our people that, follow us.
Yep.
Which is great because without our followers, obviously we have nothing to build on.
Right.
And so you and I both have been very welcoming of comments, whether it's good, whether it's bad, doesn't matter. Just leave us your feedback,
Yeah. Sometimes it's pointless, but we take it anyways and just, cool, nice, thanks.
Yeah. Some people just, they just have their opinions. We'll just put it that way.
I had this pulled up and for this episode, and I wanted to see if it worked. It may not, and if it doesn't, then you'll just have to cut it out.
Okay.
But right here, and you may or may not be able to hear it too.
Yeah, it illuminates your face. Oh, yeah, look at that.
So let's see if you can hear it. This episode, and our followers on Instagram cast votes for this episode on which bourbons we should drink. The votes are in, and it looks like Dan will be drinking Wild Turkey Rare Breed, while I get to sip on some Buffalo Trace. So a big shout out to our followers on Instagram for getting involved and casting your votes. Today's topic, we will discuss the ridiculousness that surrounds the Easter Bunny from a parent's perspective. So hold on to your seats. Professor Galahad, would you be so kind as to tell us the history of the Easter Bunny?
Why, yes. Originating from the German Lutherans, Easter hare, which is weird because we have the Easter Bunny, originally played the role of a judge evaluating whether children were good or disobedient in behavior at the start of the season Easter time.
Yeah. What a throwback that is to last Easter. Holy crap. That was forever ago.
But the voice, though. The voice.
Yeah, you can tell we've been drinking.
Yeah, but could you also tell the mics?
Oh, yeah.
The sound quality, that was going from this to the Yeti.
Right.
And then it...
And now we're whenever we're traveling, we're relegated to whatever we got. You're using those headphones again. I'm using my earbuds. And this sounds different. It's not going to sound the same as when we're there in the studio. Because I just literally, I I can't take a mixer board everywhere I go, and I can't take those Rode mics everywhere I go. And so the sound just, unfortunately, whenever we're apart and we're on the road, we do have to deal with those nuances of the sound quality and editing, and that makes my life a nightmare. But it is crazy how different that sounds. It's almost like, think about like talking through walkie-talkies, you know? And then you go to listening to whoever's on the radio and they're in an actual studio. Yeah. It's like a night and day different sound. It's kind of the same thing. But I think also we are our worst critics. I know for sure I am.
100%.
I have a problem sometimes with, seeking perfection. And it's so difficult to do in a podcast because if I were better at editing, we would probably be farther along. It would grab more attention, I guess. But it's just I
don't know. I don't know if that's the case, honestly, because really when it comes right down to it, I mean, I've edited some cool content. You've edited some cool content. Yeah. And then it fall flat on its face. And then we've also done some very simple content that did really well.
Yeah.
And then we've gone back and continued doing simple content that did nothing and flip-flop and vice versa. It's
unpredictable.
There's no rhyme or reason to it. I've read, you look for the patterns, the right drop time, the right posting, the right hashtags. And it's like, I can see the hashtags helping. But ultimately, I really feel like when it comes to social media, if I'm the social media platform, if I don't want your stuff seen, it's not going to be seen.
Right.
Just like posted that video or that TikTok, posted it on Facebook, Instagram. I think on Instagram. I did the Facebook, and I think it posted on both. And then I posted on TikTok, right? Facebook, it seemed to get quite a few views.
Yeah.
TikTok, it did really well, but then on TikTok, I get a notification all of a sudden
I saw that. Yeah.
That it's like your video doesn't meet community guidelines because it's unoriginal and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so I had to appeal it, right?
And they still rejected it.
And I'm like, so explain to me how this isn't eligible for your, for you feed, but yet it's still trending up.
I think because of the fact that they see it as an affiliation with Netflix,
but so you can't
possibly because being not
TikTok
real.
has a thing with CapCut, so that's an advertised CapCut template that comes across TikTok. So that's why I'm like, hold up, you advertise this shit to me, but then you want to get mad when I use it and actually start gaining traction. So I think it actually made people, like our followers, when I told them that Wednesday night, a lot of them went and were like, oh, share. So if TikTok won't share it, then they started sharing it. So, I mean, we do have a good group of followers.
I think that's the other thing, too, is like, for the algorithm, right? It looks at how many likes you get in the first hour that you post it, how many shares you get in that first hour. And if you don't get those two things, it basically just drops you off from the For You page or from the viral page or whatever.
Right.
Because you look at somebody like Haley Welch, who's a Hawk to a girl, right?
Yep.
It went viral so fast and so furious.
Yes.
It was like Paul Walker going off the road. It was crazy. Right. And then we'll do something where we think it's funny. At least it's funny to us. And it'll do okay. It just doesn't ever go viral. I think the max we've got on something was like 10,000 likes or 10,000 shares or whatever it was. It was.
Well, on TikTok, we've exceeded 80,000 views on one video.
Yeah, but as far as like likes and shares,
Yeah,
you know, because you can get a shit ton of views. Because we've had a shit ton of views before,
Right.
even on our YouTube. We had like over 100,000 views on YouTube on something, but it didn't have many likes or shares or comments, which is weird to me. So it's like people are looking at it, but they're not interacting with it.
Right.
And I've noticed that that's also a problem. Maybe it's a societal problem where these people, they're so consumer centric that they're not really concerned with liking or sharing or whatever with whatever they're watching, which is a weird thing. It's a weird mechanism to me that people don't do that, because I know when I'm on social media, if I like something, I immediately share it out to like a shit ton of people.
Right.
And so it's kind of strange because we've had a lot of cool shit that we've posted, you know, whether it was Steve Lemmy, whether it was Leatherwood or Casey Jones or MB Roland or Southern Collective or you know, the Yeehaw Yankee, Jesse from Lady in the Bourbon from Instagram, 10th Mountain, like all these different people that we've talked to and interfaced with. We always find like little things, clips from that were like kind of funny or attention grabbers, if you will. And they just don't garner the same response that you would think they would if, like, you know, you run in and stub your fucking toe on a fucking table and everyone's like, oh, that's fucking hilarious. And you're like,
and some of these places haven't even shared or commented on the stuff.
Agreed, which is weird. Right.
So, and then, like, for instance, like, so Yeehaw Yankee on YouTube has 939 views.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have video.
Right.
But it has 939 views and 4 comments. And 4 likes.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, it did decent for a small podcast. I think it did really good.
Then we've had other videos. Right, but then we've had other videos where we get 1,000+ views, 30 or 40 comments, and, you know, 100+ likes.
Yeah.
And then other videos, we get nothing. I mean, it's even though it's consistently dropping every other Friday for a podcast and every other Wednesday for a Wet Your Whistle, it's literally like blindfolding us and putting a dartboard up and just throwing the dart.
Yeah. I think that it's just weird. And I know that the bourbon community is saturated with people that are doing their own stuff. And, you know, you have the Bruisels of the world and the whiskey noobs of the world and the bourbon junkies of the world that are just crushing that. And really, they've kind of cornered that market. And all the fans kind of just gravitate to those main 3 ones.
Yeah.
Even our friends that do the Bourbon with Friends, they're climbing up that ladder. You know, steadily. What I've noticed with them is they have access to all these other people, right? And so that's something that we're trying to do, and that's what you're very good at for us, is gaining access to these different people, you know, leveraging, you know, different things. And I know that it's been great knowing different people that we've met to the network.
Right.
You know, like our network is growing. And so I do see that our podcast in like 3 to 5 more years is going to be something. Don't know what it's going to be. Don't know what it, you know, might evolve to by then. Who the fuck knows?
I'm still holding out for my Bourbon Olympics.
Yeah, I think that'll be interesting too if you get that up in Bowling Green or wherever that's going to end up being. I think
That's not going to happen this year or this coming year because just didn't have enough time to figure it all out and get everything lined up. But have a really good blueprint going forward. So I'm thinking the following year, with my retirement being pretty much, I can full bore.
I think that was something else that we also learned is that we wanted to create our own bourbon this year. And we wanted to have it out by summer or fall of this year. The complexity of that process, we had no idea. And that's something that most people, when they go to start anything, whether it's a business or whatever it is, there's a lot of unknowns when you go into that arena. And then you get beat to the fucking ground by all those unknowns.
Yep.
And you have to keep fighting. Like, you literally have to really want to do whatever that is. Whether it's a career thing or, parenthood or college, or it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, there's always going to be some amount of adversity that you're faced with. And so knowing what we know now, knowing that so many people source their bourbons, knowing that getting your label approved, that in itself, I was just like, ooh, what? There's a whole process just for getting your label approved? Like, there's just so many unknowns when it comes to the creating your own bottle that we were just like, fuck.
Well, yeah, what was it? License, like multiple different licenses, labeling, coordinating to have somebody create the labels. Then you had to coordinate. You either had to purchase said bottles from whatever distillery you were going to use them, and then at the same time you could either use theirs or source your own. There was so many things that went into that process. It was
it wasn't as cut as dry as we thought it was going to be.
No,
because then you have to figure out your closures, whether it's what kind of cork you're going to do. Is it synthetic? Is it normal? Is it fucking engraved on the top? Is it not engraved? You're going to have some sort of like, thing that's on the top, kind of like, who the fuck's got the thing? Von Payne, right? They've got that thing on the top.
The gargoyle.
Old Elk's got the elk thing that you can get, and like there's all kinds of different shit, right?
And that's just to get it in the bottle. That's not even to get it in the stores, to market it. The amount of networking,
finding out which distributors you're going to work with, because as soon as you make that marriage contract, you're stuck with that distributor until whenever that contract ends. So it was just like, holy moly, there's a lot of different things that we had no idea. And I think that's why a lot of people don't go into making their own stuff. Not just necessarily because they don't have a distillery at their disposal, but they just don't know all of those stepping stones that you got to fucking step on to make the path just right. Just to get the market. You know what I mean?
Right.
And even if you're in the market, where are you at on the shelves? Are they putting you in the front of the store? Are they putting you in the back of the store? Are they even advertising you at all? Are they going to let you come in and do a tasting? It's just like, oh my God, there's so much involvement with just that process itself.
Well, like you see some of these stores, like all of a sudden you have a Maker's Mark end cap or this end cap or that end cap. You want that end cap, but if I'm not bringing you in swag and stuff to advertise with, then why do you care to advertise my stuff?
That store wants a kickback inevitably, whether it's monetarily or otherwise. They only put things on their shelves if it moves. Like if you go to Bill's there in Clarksville, he'll tell you. He's like, yeah, we took a flyer, we brought this in, it didn't do well. That's why it's on sale. Because he just wants to get it the fuck out of his store, clear that shelf space, because shelf space is limited. Just like
if you go into Bill's, there's so much stuff in there that sometimes it's like, what am I even looking for?
It is a little overwhelming, but at the same point, it brings up a point that I'm getting at, is that real estate, it's like waterfront property, right? Everyone wants that waterfront property, which is that end cap that you're speaking of. And so to get that, you have to have a lot of sales, a lot of volume that you're moving to make it desirable.
Right.
And if you can't make your product desirable, then they're like, you're going in the back 40 on some shelf, and you're going to collect dust. Not just the back shelf, but the back bottom shelf, where nobody is going to fucking find you.
Right.
And then you're like, well, shit. Well, now we have a failure to launch here, and nobody knows about us. We're an unknown entity.
See, and there's not a lot. There's not a large amount of me's running around through liquor stores purposely checking every shelf
Yeah.
just because I want to see what I'm going to find, right?
Right.
I mean, because then you walk up on, and it wasn't even bottom shelf. It was probably the second shelf up. But I ran into Smoke Wagon, and I've run into several others that were.
Well, yeah, like I found the Wilderness Trail, and that was like towards the bottom, and I was
right.
like, "Fuck it, I'll take a flyer."
And
now everybody's like, "Oh, it's great."
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, finding that niche market that everyone is like willing to take a flyer on. You got to be priced right too. So
right. Well, and it's like benchmark, bottom shelf.
Yeah.
Almost every one of the benchmarks you can go find on a bottom shelf somewhere, but bang for buck, you can't beat it.
No, and everyone's starting to like rally behind that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. It's been an interesting journey though so far. It's been fun. Even when it's not been fun, it's been fun. We always find a way to make it fun either way.
We do. And then sometimes it's like I look at it this way. We've had it sometimes it's like monkeys in a zoo throwing shit. And then sometimes it's like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall to see which sticks. So at least with the spaghetti going at the wall, it's at least smells appealing.
Speaking of stuff that smells appealing, how's that confiscated treating you?
Oh, it's divine.
It's divine.
It's divine.
It's pretty good.
How's that 101?
It's rough, but it tastes good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just.
It's a good bourbon on a budget.
It is a budget bourbon for sure.
But it's also in your case, a good gas station grabber.
Yeah. If I were a homeless hobo who just scrounged up a few bucks and I wanted to get hammered, I would go and get some Wild Turkey 101 from the gas station out of a plastic bottle with a plastic screw top, and then, bottoms up it, and chug it. And then I'd forget that I was homeless. But if I'm where we are in our lives and I can afford to select something else on the shelf, I'll probably get something else. But it's not awful. It's not as bad as this plastic bottle of Jim Beam. This stuff is like nail polish remover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I see that bottle and all I think of is past life choices.
You know who went one step further though? Maker's Mark. This is actual glass with an actual cork.
Maker's Mark says we're doing it and we're doing it the right way.
Yeah, so I haven't opened this one yet, but I'm excited for it because of the fact that it's actual glass. It has a real cork versus those plastic ones that I feel like if they're sitting in a gas station in the sunlight, they're kind of imparting some of that plastic.
Speaking of Maker's Mark, I had some of Ernie's selection Maker's Mark.
Yeah, that's good.
Wednesday night. I'm pleased with it, but I mean Maker's Mark I'm fairly pleased with anyways in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not bad. I'm gonna grab something other. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll open this on this right now.
Oh. I also learned that the Bucked Up from Moonshine Bandits.
California.
Yeah, it's Moonshine Bandits. I learned it shouldn't look like broken. It it shouldn't look like
screw top.
Oh, it shouldn't look like a dingy water.
Oh,
so it shouldn't have stuff floating in it. So I definitely got a bad batch, which would also explain why, upon trying to take drinks of it, my body immediately tried to throw it up. So,
well,
yeah.
You should tell them to send you another bottle.
Mm-hmm.
That's not tainted.
Yeah. So apparently I got
Doesn't taste like the taint. Doesn't taste like the taint of an elephant.
This is probably far worse. Like, this was worse than pot stilled.
No, it wasn't that bad. I tasted it. It wasn't that bad.
Something's wrong with you, because this was so tainted. My initial pour, my body tried to throw it up.
No.
And even people watching me were like, that should not look that color, and that should not. It is a dingy yellow on my end. It looks kind of nice and colorful.
Like Flint, Michigan water.
It reminds me of those TV shows where they turn the tap on and it pours out that
the rust water.
Yeah. It looks like rust water, and if you get the light, which I did, there's stuff in it. It was not good.
See, now this smells like buttery whiskey.
Butter. He likes him some butter.
I do like butter. If it's from Longhorn or
Texas Roadhouse has the honey butter.
Who's got the cinnamon butter? I think it's
That's
Longhorn.
Texas Roadhouse. Texas Roadhouse has that. Yeah, it has that cinnamon butter, cinnamon honey butter, or whatever.
Sure?
Yeah. Because
I
they
don't
bring
eat
it
out
with
that
them.
much these days, but depends on what her name is. That's what you should have said. But leave it for me, because I'm the pervert.
I bit my lip that time.
However, that has also been an evolution of our podcast, as I've cut way back on the innuendos.
Well, and we both have, but you've cut way back. But
I feel like that's hurt our fucking viewership, because
I don't know that it has.
I think people tune in for the shit show, not just your derailment, but me as getting hammered, and then I say the off the wall comments.
I agree, but at the same time, we also realized at a certain point we were going too far over the waterfall.
Like Niagara Falls in a barrel?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, pretty much. And at that point, there was no turning back. It was just, it's going where it goes.
Yeah,
which led to episodes being an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Right.
And then, by the end of the episode, neither of us even remembered finishing the recording.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then I get a rude awakening when I go to do the editing, and I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck were we talking about?
And then there's a 30-minute segment about green beans and puppy dogs.
Yeah, it's just weird. Mm-hmm. I do enjoy this. I'm still getting used to talking into a camera. That part's weird.
Yeah.
I can't. That part, to me, I don't know how the fuck celebrities get used to that. Because to me, it's just strange.
I would agree.
It's different if there's a face. Maybe I'll make a face and I cut out where the camera is. It look like a glory hole, but it's somebody's suck hole.
Yeah, because technically your camera is here, so the whole time you've been looking up here.
Well, I have two cameras going.
Yeah,
so I have to look into the one, but
on my end, I see
it looks
up
like
your
I'm
nose.
Staring,
yeah, it looks like I'm looking up your nostrils. Yeah, all clear.
No bats in the belfry.
Nope. No bats in the belfry. No cavemen digging around. This is actually a very nice view behind me once I lean back.
Yeah, we got a ton of shit we haven't opened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a ton. Like all that shit that's behind you. We haven't touched any of the bookers. We haven't touched that whistle pig. We haven't touched the shit that's on that shelf with the Gatsby, the Remus stuff.
Yeah.
There's cigars. I mean, there's all kinds of shit that we still have to do.
And then on this side is an identical shelf, just different stuff.
Well, yeah, there's all that fucking benchmark that we haven't touched yet. So, I mean, there's just yes, it's been a process of going through and drinking different things, but every once in a while we go back to our like things that we like to drink, especially for these podcast episodes, because we don't want to open things that we haven't reviewed.
Right. Some people will open stuff we haven't reviewed. Oh, I'm sorry. Was I? Yeah. Quit digging at your ear.
Oh, this is behind my ear. I have an itch. No, I can't dig in my ear. I have a fucking ear pod, which is another fucking problem we had this year. Fucking like a double ear, what the fuck going on, and I couldn't hear shit. So for like 5 episodes, I couldn't hear what the fuck people were talking about when we interviewed them. I'm like, I can't hear shit.
Well, and when you came back at the start of the season, you hadn't had bourbon in almost 6 months, so you were having to readjust your entire palate.
And we started with a fucking Weller's Flight, which I couldn't tell the difference between one and the other. Now I can.
Not this guy's fault, because somebody else.
I was ambitious. That. Okay, I was ambitious. I thought that would be a great season opener.
And it was, because it made me look like a superstar.
You do have a very refined palate, I will admit. You do have a keen ability to find out different stuff.
It made me.
I couldn't smell or taste shit because I had 1,700 pounds of African dust in my sinus cavity.
I didn't think of it till just now, but it reminded me of the scene in The Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds where they're down there checking out the list of prisoners to see who to get to play on the football team. Yeah. And, and it's like Chris Rock's
too tall Jones?
No, yeah, Chris Rock's like, what? Because it has the 5-star rating of like how dangerous they are. And like Chris Rock's like, what's mine? And it's like a 0.5 star. And they're like, oh man, I got to get a fight to get my rep up. And they're like, yeah, we can have a pillow fight. And then the guy turns around and he's like, yeah, superstar versus 0.5 star.
Oh.
So that right there, it just dawned on me for that Weller's. Like that's my one claim to fame right there. I climbed the ladder. I wrung it out.
Yeah.
And then Dan comes back and he starts nailing things again at that point. That was
everyone goes through a slump. You know what I mean? Everyone goes through a slump.
Yeah. He came swinging like Rocky Balboa after that one, though. Yeah. Because you tried to blindside me with the Harper. Was it? Yeah, I.W. Harper.
Oh, I got you on that shit.
Uh-huh.
There's a few things that I got you on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He came back.
Yeah. I Rocky Balboa that shit.
Mm-hmm. But see, like, the occasional blinding each other, I think it's pretty fun, because then it's like, oh, wait.
I do enjoy the blinds. Just for the fact that you, like we've talked about in other episodes and talking like with Southern Collective, the pre-notions or the notions or the whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah.
They're out the window at that point because it's blind. You have no fucking idea what's in that glass. You just look at it and you're like, oh, it kind of looks like whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like even this Maker's looks like that Elijah Craig 18, or it looks like what you're drinking right now. It kind of looks like Confiscate.
You're not going to guess it off color, that's for sure.
And so color is tough because like they all have a very similar color.
Right.
And in the nose, you're like, all right, well, it smells like caramel. It smells like oak. All right, well, that's general notes that I get from any fucking bourbon. And then you taste it and you're like, well, fuck. It kind of tastes like this. And you're like, wrong. You're like, shit.
Yeah. Well, see, I will say the one benefit to the blinds being here in the studio, right, is you know what's in the studio.
Well, yeah.
Right. But when I say we know what's in the studio,
there's still 200 fucking bottles that you got to figure out what the hell it is.
I'm literally surrounded by bottles in the studio for anybody that's interested. But that's what I'm saying is trying to narrow that down, right, is very difficult. But there are, like with I.W. Harper, there are subtle notes that would help. So like I was able to determine that it absolutely was a cast finish, but then I was hung from there because there's quite a few cast finishes in here.
You thought that one was cast finish.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
No,
That was I.W. Harper short Chardonnay cask.
no, that one was the 15. You thought it was the cast finish.
Oh.
You started on that cast finish. Oh no, that was a different one. No, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking about a different episode because we did a different one where we did the IW 15.
Yes.
That was a different one. No, you're right.
Because
You were
I think I
on
did.
the road of a cast finish, or you were on.
Yeah.
I forget where you were at on that one. Now I have to go back and think about it.
Was it?
You were on what the fuck did you say it was at first? I forget.
I don't remember. Have to go back and look on that one.
That's something.
Was that the one that I did the Yellowstone toasted for you?
Might have been.
Yeah.
Might
Because
have
one
been.
of them I know I blinded you with the Yellowstone toasted, but I couldn't remember. Anyways, I digress. We've had a lot of fun.
The blinds are fun.
The blinds are fun. And then the occasional, letting the fans vote on what we're drinking, that was fun, but we haven't done that since last season.
I do like that about the TikTok is when we get the fans to vote what they want us to drink, and they basically pay to see what we're going to drink. You know. That is a fun part of a TikTok that I do like. The other part of TikTok that I don't like is the fact that they're so restrictive on what you can say or do.
Yeah,
If I want to have a
is very
cigar
restrictive.
with my fucking bourbon, I should be able to have a fucking cigar with my bourbon. I'm already drinking, which is a 21-year-old plus thing anyway. So if I'm smoking, what the fuck difference does that make, TikTok? Make up your goddamn mind. You're either going to not allow drinking and smoking, or you're going to allow both.
Well, and that's actually where it's a finite thing, right? Because if you're not a beverage show or purveyor or whatever you would want to call it, you will get the knock for having it on your lives. Right? Whereas the cigars,
It's called bourbon sauced.
which is why we're able to have bourbon and not get any issues. But the minute you light one up, no, senor, goodbye, farewell.
But
And
it's hand in hand. Anyone in that community knows, you have a bourbon, you're probably going to have a cigar. So why the fuck? That's why I hate TikTok. It's so unclear with their guidelines. They say what they want.
It's
but they
very
do what they
generic
want
guidelines. It's very generic guidelines. Everything
you
is
get.
super generic.
That's what you get for a software that's out of China. Until next time, drink your favorite drink. Hopefully it's bourbon. And get sauced. Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, but the funny thing is it has U.S. guidelines.
Yeah, it's weird. I hate
There's
it.
a headquarters in the U.S. to manage it. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we should go there and interview them and ask them why they're so restrictive on things.
Right. And why, okay, if I want to have bourbon and a cigar on our podcast, then why can't you have a 21 plus audience?
I get not allowing kids to be able to view your stuff.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep.
I get not allowing anyone under 18 to be on TikTok. That makes sense. Social media in general, you should have to be 18 and over. But most countries overseas, you can start drinking and smoking at 15.
Yep.
So what the fuck, TikTok?
Well, now you can be in the military for 3 years before you can even have a dip, smoke, or a drink.
Yeah, it's weird. It's fucking weird. Either way, this adventure has been crazy. It's been wild. It's been fun. Hopefully it keeps going for a few more years. And,
Soy Dora.
hey, like your shirt.
I like yours
That's
too.
my shirt. Yeah,
Thank you.
Mine's we got these off the merch store.
Mine's a nice 3/4 Raglan, for baseball fans or just all out wear and go.
Yeah, and I got the hoodie for year round.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait,
that's the patriotic hoodie.
That one's a one-off hoodie.
It is a one-off. This is the one-off 3/4. But this is it. The front looks the same. Actually, no, the front, it's the big logo.
Well, yeah. So yours is a one-off, which is only for us. Mm-hmm. But the one that I'm wearing is similar to that because of the fact that it also has.
Yes, it does.
The Get Sauce on the back.
It's the patriotic version.
And then we have the embroidery shop that's also affiliated and tied into our account on that page. So if you guys are curious, go ahead and check that out. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below. It really helps us out. It spreads the word and gets us known by people that otherwise wouldn't know us. So until next time, drink your favorite drink. Hopefully it's bourbon and get sauced. Cheers.